We are not going to pay double the amount of our utility bills. Do you understand that?
This is a pretty stunning stat. Half of all of the new demand for electricity in the U.S. in the next 5 years is expected to be driven by data centers.
Forget data centers in space. Forget data centers in the ocean. You want a data center in your backyard. I'm going to show you why.
This was the sound at Laura Evans' home in suburban Chicago last spring when backup generators kicked in at the data center 1,000 feet from her backyard. And it never goes away.
Never goes away.
Laura tells us the data center emits a droning hum 24/7. And it's not just the noise taking a toll. She says in the last year, her average electricity bill has spiked 23%.
And how do you budget when it's changing that much in 1 year?
You can't.
And her electric company warned prices could rise even more, saying one reason why is increased electricity use from data centers and artificial intelligence. ABC News and our owned and affiliated stations spoke with communities across the country grappling with the rapid buildup of data centers to support the AI boom. An analysis from our data team found there are more than 3,000 data centers in the U.S. About 1,200 more are now under construction or soon to be built.
If you're using AI, ultimately a lot of the computation happening there, or at least the storage for that thing, is in a data center somewhere.
It's just a massive construction site.
A 2-hour drive from Laura's home, we visited the site of what will be one of the biggest data centers in the U.S. in the small town of Port Washington, Wisconsin. A $15 billion project backed by OpenAI and Oracle that's part of the White House's Stargate initiative. The campus sits on a plot of farmland bigger than 500 football fields and will eventually use about the same amount of electricity needed to keep the lights on in all the homes in Philadelphia.
They'd be putting power lines that are taller than apparently the Statue of Liberty.
Tom Utek is an artist who's lived on this land for 40 years. He showed us where the utility company is planning to build a massive power line on his property for the project.
They'll just take over your land.
Yeah, and we'll fight it to the end.
At a town hall this month, we saw how the data center is dividing the community.
We are not going to pay double the amount of our utility bills. Do you understand that?
These are good paying union jobs.
Mayor Ted Knightsky defends the project, saying it will bring jobs and much needed tax revenue.
These are huge companies. Are you convinced that they will be willing to invest in this community?
They've been awesome. I mean, they have met every expectation we have given them.
In statements to ABC News, OpenAI and Oracle said they're committed to paying for the energy they use. And the data center operator insists residents and businesses in Port Washington will not see an increase in their electric bills due to the project.
All right, so the companies are saying they're going to pay for the electricity they're going to use in these massive data centers. That's a hollow statement. Of course, you're going to pay for the electricity that you use. But what they don't mention is the fact that they are pushing up demand in a scarce and limited supply, which will in turn increase the rates. There's no way around simple supply and demand laws, and they know that. So if you think today's affordability crisis and inflation, if you think it's bad, you're going to have to brace yourself, because we're staring down the barrel of an energy shock that years from now, all this is going on today is going to look like child's play. But there is one heck of a solution out there that could resolve this issue, lower our bills substantially, and also get rid of issues with current data centers like water usage.
Data centers store and transfer all the digital information we use, which is a lot and growing. So they run very, very hot. The cheapest and most common way to cool them is water, a lot of it.
Water tends to be much cheaper than power. And so it's a pure financial decision for many players.
In just one day, the average data center could use 300,000 gallons of water to cool itself, the same water consumption as 100,000 homes, according to researchers at Virginia Tech, who also estimated that 1 in 5 data centers draws water from stressed watersheds, mostly in the West.
There is, without a doubt, risk if you're dependent on water.
If you're dependent on water, sir, life is dependent upon water.
Data centers are set up to operate 20 years. So what is it going to look like in 2040 here, right?
That's why when CyrusOne, formerly a REIT but purchased this year by investment firms KKR and Global Infrastructure Partners, moved into the drought-stricken Phoenix area, it used a different, albeit more expensive, method of cooling.
So that was sort of our aha moment where we had to make a decision. We changed our design to go to zero consumption water so that we didn't have that sort of risk.
Realizing the risk in New Mexico, Meta ran a pilot program on its Las Lunas data center to reduce relative humidity from 20% to 13%, lowering water consumption. It has since implemented this in all of its centers. But Meta's overall water consumption is still rising steadily, with about 1/5 of that water last year coming from areas deemed to have water stress. It does actively restore water and set a goal last year to restore more water than it consumes by 2030, starting in the West. But while companies with their own data centers can do that, data centers that lease to multiple clients are increasingly being bought by private equity firms in search of high-growth real estate.
There's a lot of new players that may not be as sophisticated, that may be looking at a short-term time horizon, that aren't worried about what the watershed looks like in 10 or 20 years because they're probably not going to be around.
Federal Reserve officials and energy experts, they're sounding an alarm. The explosive rise of artificial intelligence is placing an unprecedented strain on the American power grid. Data centers are consuming vast amounts of electricity. We all know this. They're doing it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The current grid simply cannot handle it. And the cost of this massive demand spike is about to land squarely on your monthly utility bill. So the question becomes, why aren't the power companies just building more power plants, more capacity? Well, they can do that. They're technically capable of doing that. And a lot of them are planning to. But there's a massive structural bottleneck in terms of time and policy. So even if an energy company breaks ground on a new power plant today, the regulatory hurdles, supply chain delays, and interconnection queues means that it actually takes about 5 years just to plug that plant into the grid so that it can start generating power. Meanwhile, AI tech giants, they're building data centers right now. So demand is surging exponentially today, but new supply is at least 5 years away. And look, if we don't act, Americans will look back at today's cost of living struggles. They'll look back on it rather fondly. On a national level, in the near term, we need an immediate pivot toward nuclear power. It's the only clean baseload energy source dense enough to fuel the AI revolution and also the rising demands of electricity from businesses, heavy industry, and us, consumers, regular folk. Now, from an investment standpoint, this energy scarcity represents one of the most compelling long-term plays of our entire generation. Energy scarcity is actually an asset. Guaranteed exponential demand mixed with fixed supply creates massive pricing power. Then there's also the strategic allocation. So positioning capital in nuclear infrastructure, uranium miners and producers, and grid modernization companies. That's a prudent hedge against rising consumer energy cost. So waiting 5 years for these power plants to come online is really not an option. A game-changing alternative is emerging: decentralized mini data centers, like the backyard units developed by a company called Span.
Joining me now in a Fox Business exclusive, Span founder and CEO Arch Rayo. Arch, good to have you here. You were already making the modern take on electrical panels that transform and streamline home energy use, but now you're making a leap that puts a whole new node onto this. Can you explain what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. For the last several years, Span's mission has been, how do we increase the utilization of our existing electrical grid, particularly a distribution grid that often has over 50% of headroom, by introducing digital power controls. So you and I as consumers could add an EV charger or a heat pump without necessitating the grid to be rebuilt or to be upgraded. We're applying the same logic as we think about compute. Compute is inarguably the fastest category of load growth, and we believe there's a way for us to bring distributed compute to the edge of the grid, where there is abundant power capacity, power delivery capacity available, and that can be done in a way where the economics of our AI boom can be shared with more consumers.
Here's the type of innovation we want to see. Now, he's decentralizing. His idea decentralizes the data center. And not only that, it also distributes the benefits of it as well. He's going to tell you about that next. This is a great idea.
I need to hear more about this. I need details. How big are these things? Can you give me a comparison so people understand?
Absolutely. So a typical extra node is roughly the size of 2 air conditioning compressors on the side of your home sitting on a concrete pad. So it's about 8 feet wide and about 3 feet deep and about 4 feet tall. And what it's designed to do, it's a purpose-built AI inference node. So it's not a single GPU running it. Think of it as roughly the size of a half a rack or a single rack in a large data center. And instead of having thousands of racks in a single large data center that often requires power, interconnection, land, and water, we've essentially designed this to be a data center in a box that has sufficient compute and connectivity to run the vast majority, if not all, of the inference applications that we use today and future physical AI applications.
How much does it cost to install? What am I talking about here?
That's a great question. So we envision this being a solution that we install at our cost. So Span and Extra will build, own, and operate these distributed nodes as a third-party owned system, if you will. And in exchange for having access to a bit of space on the side of your home or outside a small commercial building, we will not only give the consumer or the host, if you will, a free Span panel and a battery that can provide electrification and resiliency benefits. We will also contribute from the revenues we generate by offering cloud compute with our distributed inference nodes. We'll help the customers pay for their energy and internet bill as well.
Okay, so let me be clear. I see monthly subscription, and you're doing a pilot program with Pulte Homes right now for 100 homes. Where, in the Southwest? Which state?
We are going to be building them across a few different states. We have a few nodes operating in California today. We'll be building them in Arizona and Texas as well in Q4 of this year.
Okay, so again, how much will it cost me as a subscriber per month?
Nothing at all. It's not designed to cost you anything. It's designed for us to give you a check every month, or at least help you discount the cost of your energy and internet. The whole premise here is AI compute is burgeoning very quickly. There's a tremendous amount of gap between demand and supply of power for being able to build large-scale data centers. We believe that by using existing electrical infrastructure, not only can we increase the utilization of our existing electrical network, which avoids the need for net new generation and transmission that often is cost that's carried over to all the ratepayers, we can actually provide economic benefit to end consumers and host partners like commercial buildings as well.
Okay, it's self-cooling. I got a lot of questions about that. Is this liquid cooling? Because the big concern with the large data centers is water usage. Is my water bill going to go up?
No, it is not designed to connect with your plumbing system at all. It's a closed loop system. So think of it as a heat pump or an air conditioning system that is dedicated to just the computer rack that's built inside the extra node. It has a direct liquid cooling loop that also ensures that the system is very quiet. So we're able to operate below 65 decibels, which is about as loud as your average air conditioning system is. And at the same time, it is very efficient and it can operate for a long time out in the wild because it's direct liquid cooled down to the GPUs and CPUs that we have built within the node.
So it also can, I guess, share with the internet service. Is that correct? And do I get a discount for that?
That's right. So our vision here is, much like the electrical network, we're going to be investing in infrastructure for fiber connectivity as well. And we're bringing that fiber connectivity down to every single home. So in a new home construction context, we're able to use the existing distribution power infrastructure and the existing internet infrastructure. And that's used by the extra node. So the consumer's energy bill and internet bill will come down because we're able to share in the cost of that connectivity to your home.
Okay, you heard it. Instead of building massive grid-destroying mega facilities, this approach distributes computing power directly into localized micro nodes. Span's engineering also solves the two biggest problems plaguing legacy data centers. Traditional data centers drain millions of gallons of fresh water daily for cooling. Span's closed loop liquid architecture recycles heat internally without consuming local water reserves. And then there's the noise pollutioning aspect of it as well. We've got some acoustic dampening technology in span systems. So high-speed server fans generate deafening ambient noise. I've been around these data centers. Trust me, I know. But as far as what Span has developed, these quiet closed loop designs drastically suppress operational decibels. He said in the mid 60s, okay, your home air conditioning unit is doing that, and it's, almost imperceptible, right? So they're neighborhood friendly. All right, now, the other aspect of this is that while tech companies innovate around computing infrastructure, what can we do right now to protect our own wallet, okay? Independent of any other company's decisions or timetables. So, look, it is high time that we stop relying on an overburdened grid. A grid that has scarce resources is driving the cost up for everybody, right? The ultimate personal defense against runaway utility rates is taking your home off of the grid with solar and battery storage. It allows you to cap your utility costs. Generating and storing your own electricity immunizes your household from hyperinflated grid rate hikes. Now, you'll see a lot of Tesla, footage here. And I'm not endorsing them, but I am saying this. They are the largest provider. I'm not getting any money from them to advertise. Unfortunately, I wish they would do that. Tesla, if you're listening, give us a shot here. But in terms of the research I've done, and this is a story for another day, Tesla is really the only game in town. A lot of these solar providers have come and they've gone. And a lot of the solar panels you see on residential roofs are not even producing power anymore, okay? Because they went with a company that turned out to be fly by night, all right? So if I were going to do it tomorrow, it would be through Tesla, okay? So Tesla also operates the batteries, the solar batteries, and those battery reserves ensure uninterrupted power during regional rolling brownouts caused by massive data center strain. And they also allow you to store that precious energy overnight. You can expend it then or when the weather is not so sunny. All right, so this AI boom is not slowing down. It's accelerating, actually. And the grid that we're using today is simply was not designed, was not built for this era that we are experiencing. Whether through nuclear investments, decentralized mini data centers, or personal off-grid solar, or combination. Taking action now, ladies and gentlemen, it's no longer optional. We got to do something. Taking action is essential. So let me know what you think. Are you preparing your lifestyle in such a way that will allow you to be more energy independent with maybe solar? I really like Span's idea. Would like to hear more about it. And based on what I know right now, it's probably something I would go for, right? It's going to reduce my bill. All right. It's going to prevent these data centers from extracting all of this water. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'm very interested in your opinion. I'll talk to you soon.